Episode 71D, Murphy's Comedy Club. This is Murphy's Comedy Club, virtually located in Southie Wells, and I am stealing Ronald Reagan's intro from his many jokes. Did you hear the one about Paddy Murphy's talking horse? A traveling salesman is driving through County Cork when his car breaks down, and he gets out and he hears a voice say, "You need help?" There's nobody around except the horse. He hears the question again, and he asks the horse, "Did you say that?" The horse said, "Of course I did." Then the salesman says, "My God, a talking horse? This is amazing." The horse says, "Yeah, my name is Rory. You don't know the half of it. I'm a champion racer. I even won the Kentucky Derby. My owner, Paddy Murphy, lives in that cottage. If you want to make an offer, you can go over and talk to him." The salesman sprints up to the house and knocks. Paddy comes out. "Mister," the salesman said, "I've got to have that horse. Money is no object. How much do you want?" "Hold on there," interrupts Paddy. "Has Rory been giving you that champion bullshit about the Kentucky Derby? And did you hear this one about Paddy Murphy at the doctor's? After a full checkup, the doctor tells Mr. and Mrs. Murphy everything looks good. How have you two been sleeping?" Paddy Murphy replies, "Oh, I've been sleeping like a baby dog. But last night I woke up to pee. When I opened the bathroom door, I saw this heavenly light." Nora Murphy sighs and says, "Doctor, he peed in the refrigerator again." And a quick one on adoption. When Paddy was a little boy, he asked his father, "Da, was I adopted?" His father said, "Not yet." Did you hear this one about Paddy Murphy at the hospital? Paddy Murphy, unemployed and having a real hard time, collapsed on the street and woke up to find himself in care of nuns and nurses at the Catholic hospital. As he was recovering, a nun holding a clipboard came into his room and said she was from the billing department and asked how he was going to pay the bill. Paddy says, "I don't have health insurance." The nun asked him, "Does he have money in the bank?" He shook his head, replied, "I don't." The nun asked, "Do you have a relative who could help you?" He said, "Just a sister who's a spinster nun." The nun replied sternly, "Nuns are not spinsters. Nuns are married to God." Paddy replied, "Okay, then send the bill to my brother-in-law." And how about this one? Father Murphy, Reverend Billy Bob, a Baptist preacher, and Rabbi Rosen were sitting around drinking coffee. All agreed that preaching to people isn't easy, but a real challenge would be to preach to a bear. One thing led to another, and they decided that each would find a bear and attempt to convert it to their religion. 7 days later, they all came together to discuss their experiences. Father Murphy, who had his arm in a sling and had various bandages on his body and limbs, went first. "Well," he said, "I went into the woods to find me a bear, and when I found him, I began to read to him from the catechism. Well, that bear came after me and began to slap me around. So I quickly grabbed my holy water, sprinkled him in Holy Mother of God. He became as gentle as a lamb." Reverend Billy Bob spoke next. He was in a wheelchair and had an IV drip. "I went out and found me a bear, and then I began to read to the bear from the Bible. But that bear came after me. We wrestled down one hill until we fell into a creek. So I quickly dunked him and baptized his hairy soul. And just like you said, he became as gentle as a lamb." Then Father Murphy and Reverend Billy Bob both looked down at Rabbi Rosen, who was lying in a hospital bed. He was in a body cast, in traction, with IVs and monitors running in and out of him. The rabbi looked up and said, "Looking back on it, maybe I shouldn't have started with the circumcision." And did you hear this blonde joke? A blonde runs into the emergency room screaming in panic, "Doctor, doctor, how is Mr. Murphy?" The doctor says, "I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Mr. Murphy suffered a massive heart attack, 3 fractured ribs, and a brain concussion." So the blonde asked, "Doctor, can I speak to Mr. Murphy?" The doctor says, "Absolutely not. His condition is unstable. But if you have something to tell him, I can pass it on." The blonde says, "Okay, can you just ask him if I passed my driving test?" Or this one, about surgeons. 3 Boston doctors are at O'Callahan's pub, drinking Guinness and bragging about their best surgeries. Dr. Marinelli comes first. One time a guy came in who was in a terrible woodcutting accident. The guy lost his right arm, but I sewed him up in 3 hours. Now he's a major league pitcher. Dr. Rabinowitz then told his story. "One time I was working in the ER, and this guy came in who lost his leg in a farming accident. I sewed him up in 2 hours, and now he's an Olympic runner. Dr. Paddy Murphy was last. That ain't nothing. One time, my wife and I were heading to Mass one Sunday, and the car in front of us slid off the road and went into a cow pasture. The guy went through the front windshield and split his head wide open, and his brains were all over the pasture. I sprung into action. I scooped up all the brains along with the cow patties and shoved it all right back into his head. I sewed him up in less than 45 minutes, and he became our 46th president. This is Rod Murphy. Thank you for viewing or listening to my podcast episodes. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, and if you so choose, I ask you to send a good review and or refer a friend who might be interested in this Old Boston podcast series. Again, my thanks.